participants here, so I'm expecting somebody from East. No? All right, so let's move to 23 West, Division 23 West. Are there any KIWANIANs from 23 West joining us? No? 23 Central.
Good evening. How are you? P.E. Nandy Brooks here from Kiwanis Club of Young Professionals St. Andrew, and I'm expecting my president and 3 more persons to join shortly.
Thank you very much. So you're expecting a contingent of about 3 persons, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you for coming, and we look forward to your participation. Anybody else from Division 23 Central?
Yes, good evening, P.E. Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, I am fine too. I am President Eurydice from the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central Surrey Online. And at this time, I would just like to acknowledge the LG, who is a dual member. And also we have IPP LaShawn. So at this time we have a delegation of about 3 persons.
Okay.
Yes, and so we thank you for the invitation, and we look forward to meeting your members this evening in this up close and personal session. Thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And we also take a share of LG Desmond also. So he wears 2 hats, as we are well aware.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I hope you enjoy the evening. And thank you again for your attendance. I know you're a regular at our meetings.
Oh, yes, I think I'm a part of the club by now.
Yes. Thank you again. Anybody else from 23 Central? I do see we have
Good evening.
yes,
P.
good.
Stephen.
I'm here.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Great. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Friends Across Borders. This evening we have on the call DP Paulette, Chairman Carleen, Chairman Jacinth, Kiwanian Nicole, Kiwanian Tisanio. I am IPP Bridget, and we're expecting our President Stacy to join. We're looking forward to a very interesting meeting this evening. Thank you for the invite.
You're most welcome, and it will be interesting. It's going to be informative as well as entertaining, just to get an idea of some of our KIWANIAN members. And also, IPP, just in case the other members turn up later on, you can simply put it in the chat so we can at least see or acknowledge them in the chat. And also at this time, wish to send a special greetings to our IPP Paul, who is visiting from Japan, or joining us online from Japan. So IPP Paul, I see you online, and again, always happy to have your presence. I'm sure I saw IPP Paul. Or is it DP Paul?
Yes, thank you very much, P. Stephen.
Paul. Yes, DP Paul, thank you. Anybody else from Central? If not, SLPs. We do have some SLPs who are joining us. I'll ask them to open their mic and send their greetings or acknowledge their contingent. I think I saw the noon. No?
Right here. Good afternoon. Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Governor J. Justin Rose of Division 1 Key Club, Jamaica District, and I'm here to wish you guys an amazing meeting, and I hope everything that you have on the agenda is completed and we all leave with something interesting and something new. So have a great rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much, LG. Looking forward to the meeting also. It will be interesting and exciting. Also, okay, so just a general invitation, or are there any guests, non-KIWANIANs who are joining us?
Did you ask 23 East or did I miss it?
I did, but I'm happy to go right back to it.
And I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I stepped away a minute and a few seconds really. I'm bringing greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. I was welcomed by President Newton earlier, but
Yes.
there are other members on. There's Kiwanian Janet Lawrence, Director Theon Scott, Kiwanian Hortense Renners, the Kiwanian Celian Barracks. There are a few members on. So just like to wish you all that is good. Have a wonderful meeting. And Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. And there's also DS Linda Rose. So have a wonderful meeting. Blessings all. This is DLG Gerthlin.
Thank you, DLG Gerthlin. Yes, and to the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, we're always happy to have your presence at our meetings.
Thank you.
Anybody else from 23 East? Let me go back and just in case I missed anybody. All right, so let's fast forward to the guests, non-Kiwanians who may be, or guests of Kiwanians who may be on the meeting. Is there anybody that would like to introduce themselves? We have 47 persons.
PD Stephen.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have two guests I'd like to introduce. There is my very special sister, Janet, who is online, and my very special aunt, Carmen. They are online tonight.
Okay. Carmen and Janet, thank you. Welcome. I hope you, thank you for attending. And I hope that you will enjoy. You're always welcome at Kiwanis Club of Kingston. And eventually feel free that you may want to join a Kiwanis Club, that if you're so moved by the mission and the aims and objects of Kiwanis International.
Good evening.
I'm hearing you. Go ahead, DP Barry.
Yes, you'll forgive my late entry into your haven't seen the two names to present themselves. I had to be in attendance to hear Maurice Roberts. Yes, a good friend of mine, and I'm happy that he has joined the organization. And I was hoping to have been there in person, but it didn't work out that way. So I guess I'm the only one from North St. Andrew, and I'm always happy to be at the Kiwanis Club of Kingston's meeting.
Yes. And North St. Andrew is a regular supporter or interclubber at our meeting. So we appreciate your presence and thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
As always. Anybody else? Going once, twice, anybody else? If not, back to you, President Newton, to continue with the program.
Thank you, PD Stephen. Well done as usual. And we'll give you a couple seconds rest because you're coming back for other duties. While we deal with apologies for absence. I have not seen any apologies. Have you received any, Secretary Willie?
Yes, President Newton. As usual, we have an apology from Vice President Garfield Wynne, who, as you know, is at home recovering.
Not here in your DLG, or was that the only one?
No, that's the only one.
Okay. Yes, and we ask you to just keep VP Garfield in your prayers. He has been ill in recent times. He's coming along well. Spoke to him last time on Friday. I think his phone is off now because maybe so many persons calling he can't get any rest. So but he's coming along fine. Okay, now we're at that special point again, birthdays and anniversaries. And we bring back none other than PD Stephen to bring that to us.
Thank you, President Newton. Back again at you. So this time I'm here to acknowledge birthdays of Kiwanians and their spouses for the week of October 9th through October 15. So these are members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston who are celebrating birthdays, and we extend to them heartiest congratulations and happy birthday and happy anniversary as they celebrate. First of all, past chairman George Gillings and his wife celebrates her birthday on the 8th of October, Cynthia. So Cynthia, happy birthday, belated happy birthday. DS Jeff Madden, his wife Carol, who is also a friend of mine, celebrates her birthday on the 14th of October. That's Carol Madden. Kiwanian Clovis Metcalf's wife, Hemini, her birthday is on the 12th of October. So special birthday greetings to her. That's day after tomorrow. Yes. And our own, who is on the meeting, DP Chris Robinson, his birthday is today, the 10th of October. I did see DP Chris on the meeting, so special happy birthday greetings, and we're glad that you're celebrating your birthday with your fellow Kiwanians, including our new members who are doing the up close and personal. So special birthday greetings to you, DP Chris, today and this evening. I'll open up the microphone to anybody else who is celebrating a birthday this week.
We can not too late to send greeting. Send it in the group.
Anybody else? DP Chris, you
Send
wanted
it in
to
the
say
chat.
something? Or
I was just telling you thank you for your greetings, and thanks to all my Kiwanian colleagues and friends who have been calling and messaging and wishing me good wishes. Thank you all.
most welcome. And a day above the ground is always a blessed day. You have to give thanks. Anybody else celebrating a birthday, anniversary, or anything of a special note? If not, back to you, President Newton, and to continue with the program.
Thank you, PD Stephen. And may I publicly add my happy birthday today. We call him the big man, right? DP Chris. Hope it was a great day for you, sir. And I know DP Herman was with us last week. I don't know if she's on this week, but you know, happy birthday to her and the others and anniversary to others when it comes. All right, and as you know, we do things big in the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. So for our Kiwanis education, we're bringing you, it's gonna be brought to you by no less a person than an LG, right? LG Desmond will now bring you Kiwanis education.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Newton. Nice to be here, sir. The topic is on elections and vacancies as per Article 5 of the standard form of club bylaws and policies. Where there's a vacancy in the office of the president-elect or immediate past president or vice president may fill the position, but as provided for in the club's mandatory policy C. For the immediate past president, where there is such vacancy, the most recent president who is willing, and I stress willing and able to serve. So if President Junior, for example, who is the immediate past president, is not willing and able to serve, then we have to go to the president before him, which will be DP Paul, to see if he is willing and able to serve as the immediate past president. For all other officers and directors, new elections will be held within 60 days, provided at least 14 days previous notice of the meeting and nominations is given to the members. However, if the secretary is appointed, the president will appoint someone to fill the vacancy, subject to the approval of the board. That's it for Kiwanis education, President.
Thank you, LG Desmond. Very good timing. Even though I want to assure everyone who is online now listening that this president isn't going anywhere until about 360 days time. So But if I were to decide to take a little walk, one of the things about the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, we are so deep and so strong that every president before me is willing, able, and still around. Well, at least for the last 10 presidents to take over the mantle. Thank you, LG, Desmond.
Welcome.
And we are now where everyone has been here, and I'm surprised that so far we are only 48 in number, because I know whenever it comes to up close and personal, you know, they have all been so good that purses we have always been full. But tonight we have two purses, Treasurer Orville Lewis and KIWANIAN Maurice Roberts. But it's not for me to introduce them. So DP Stewart will take over at this point.
Thank you, President Newton. Fellow KIWANIANs and guests, it is my pleasure, but just a slight correction. My role is not to introduce these members, other than to tell you their names, because what they are going to be presenting will be their own introduction, because they are going to be telling us, you know, their stories all about themselves. So this evening we have two members, KIWANIAN Maurice Roberts and Treasurer Orville Lewis. It's really a pleasure for me to have these two, because well, I won't say why, you know, it's always a pleasure whenever we haven't had one of these meetings since about the first week in June. So it's time for another up close and personal. Now, I did send them a message. I haven't seen where they have actually seen it, or, you know, but I usually just do that and say which one of you will go first. So even if they haven't seen it, I'm going to ask Maurice to go first, and then Orville will go second. So, KIWANIAN Maurice Roberts, it's your time.
And just definitely appreciate it.
No, there is a sound in the background. A TV sound is in the background. Please mute that. And I'm Maurice. If you're speaking a while ago, you were muted. So I'm not hearing.
I don't see a microphone for him.
Wait a minute. You mean beside, oh yeah?
Yeah, he doesn't have a microphone sign on his, we're not hearing, and he doesn't have a microphone. Oh, it's there now.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes you're pushing these things and they're not making contact, so it just doesn't show. So but you're probably unmuted. You're probably unmuted. No, not hearing you. Not hearing you.
He's still muted.
Still muted.
You gotta unmute.
Maurice?
You gotta all right. I don't know if you're hearing us, but if you're hearing us, I might have to switch up and say, let Orville go first, and then you try and sort out the issues that you seem to be having. So, but I hope you're hearing us, because otherwise you won't know what decision we have made. No, but you're not hearing us.
He's hearing us. He's hearing us.
He's hearing us,
but he's having problems.
Okay, Orville, we're gonna ask you to go first, and I'll message Maurice, and then we can see. Hopefully, he can sort it out. So it's Treasurer Orville Lewis who is on the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay.
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes. Thank you, DP Stewart. Good evening, President and fellow KIWANIANs and guests. I am happy to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about myself. DP Stewart has been chasing me to get this done, but unfortunately, due to my schedule, you know, it has not materialized before now. So just to say, to the newer Kiwanians who don't know me, yes, I'm not just a myth, I do exist. Because I know I have not been able to attend meetings as regularly as I would like, but still supporting in the background. Before I get started, let me see, I have a little thing here to guide me. So let's see if this works. I don't run.
You want to share a screen?
Yes, I want
Okay.
to. You're gonna allow me?
Yeah, man, sure. Let me just you should be able to, but let me just make sure and make you a co-host. Okay, I got you. Okay, you're a co-host, so you should be able to share a screen without any reason.
Yeah, everybody see my screen? Listen to presentation mode.
There is a TV and sound in the background before. Same in the trouble of having to find which mic it is. Please, I'm gonna ask everybody, just keep your mics on mute and just let the person who is presenting. Let me see if I can find this one. Hold on.
I think
it's not your background, Orville. It's not your background, is it?
No. It's all quiet around here.
Okay. All right. I think I see one that I can mute. Maybe that was it. President, I'm gonna mute even you. All right, just to. Okay, go ahead, Orville. It should be good.
All right, thank you again, DP, and just good evening again. So, as I've introduced, my name is Orville St. Aubin Lewis. That's what the A is for. And just to jump in here. Oh, come on, don't give me any problems, right? So, about myself. I graced this earth on July 19, 1972, and I am the first of 2 children from my mom, second of 7 from my father. Married for 23 years, anniversary is this coming weekend to Odette Beam. And we have 1 daughter, her name is Taraji. And as you see here, it's a fun fact, we all share July birthdays. So makes it a little easier. In times we just have 1 celebration at the end of the month, Very, very easy to plan for. And we reserve my daughter, she is the 30th. So we always just wait until that time and we have, 1 family celebration. And below you'll see a picture. I just had a picture there of myself and a family, a wife on the left, a daughter on the right. Jumping into my early years. So I was born at the Percy Junior Hospital in Spalding, but as most persons would say, I'm a country boy. Lived and grew up in a small district named Robbins Hall, a farming district actually, in the heart of Manchester. Attended Robbins Hall Basic School and then the all-age school. Was successful in my common entrance at the age of 10 and attended Knox College up until 5th form. Now, strangely enough, I was a science student in high school. And typically in those days, you don't have a lot of mentorship per se. So, you just ended up doing subjects as you were handed. And I got lucky and was in the streams that they were giving the sciences. So I was just going through to school with no definite idea of what I'd want to be later on in life. But then, so I finished sciences, and at the time of graduation, I realized all my friends who were entering med school, I realized the hospital scene was not for me. So, I said, I need to find a profession that probably can make as much money as these doctors. What is it? And someone mentioned, why don't you try accounts? You seem to be good at maths. And subsequently, I said, okay, I enrolled in business administration program at CAST, and I spelled it out here, not to, well, as everybody would see my age, date myself. It is now called UTech, but in the days when I attended, it was College of Arts, Science and Technology. And studied business administration, where I majored in accounting and ended up now moving into audit subsequently. But just another little interesting fact, during my latter high school years in the country so as not to be too idle, I ended up spending all my summers working at an auto body shop. So I learned how to spray, weld, so and all of that good stuff, you know, just for the fun of it, at least to keep me occupied. Now, after I left, when I was in cast, actually, I remember the lecturer kept saying, you know, if you want to be a chartered accountant, the ACCA is the highest qualification you can obtain. And he was just going on about how difficult it was. And I was sitting there in the class listening and saying to myself, why would I want to put myself through that? I simply just want to get my diploma. And after leaving cast, then I realized those diplomas were a dime a dozen. So again, my career path, as you see, is just as I go along, I would try to figure out what's the next step. I was not one of those young men who fortunately would have planned out their lives for the next 5 years. I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. As a matter of fact, as a teenager youngster, I actually wanted to be an army pilot. So nothing to do with what I ended up doing, but you know, here we are today. My first job out of college at cast, was at ICWI, because again, in my mind, that was it. I didn't need to pursue the ACCA, and all my friends went to KPMG, and my goal was, listen, I need to make some money. Because the reputation for audit firms back in the day was that they didn't pay, they don't pay a lot of money, but they give you excellent training in terms of providing support for your examinations and books. So that's where the benefits came in. But I myself, well, listen, you know, I want to earn some money, so I'm going to go in the private sector. Notwithstanding, landed my first job at ICWI and pretty much was earning what the guys were earning at the audit firm, because I was told, sorry, we like you, but you have no experience. So, you know, we have to start you within this range. And did 2 years accounts clerk, payroll clerk. But during those years, I started to realize again, you know, had too much time on my hands. Started to feel a bit, you know, idle. So I signed up for the ACCA because my friends were doing it, and I did that. And after I passed the first level, then I moved over to KPMG when I realized that actually, you know, I needed a lot more support in terms of, you know, classes, tuition, support, and study time, so to speak. So I left and went to KPMG in 1993, spent 4 years there, whilst I completed the exams at the 1994 sitting. Subsequent to that, I migrated to the Bahamas. I got another opportunity at Deloitte. And there I would have worked until March 2005 when I returned to Jamaica to take up a position at Flow. That was when Flow was just being launched. So I had contacts with the then managing director, because again, they were affiliated with the cable company in the Bahamas, who asked me if I was ready to go home, and I didn't hesitate. So the experience in the Bahamas was great. You know, learned quite a bit dealing with mutual funds, offshore banks, that sort of stuff. But then there's no place like home. So, you know, after 7 years, it was, you know, I was ready to come back. And again, incidentally, my daughter was born in the Bahamas, but we moved back after she was 1 when I had the opportunity to come here. So returned to Jamaica, financial controller at Flow. That ran for about 7 years, and then moved into a new post, still in finance, but more on the commercial side, and did that for another couple of years until we had the merger between Flow and Cable and Wireless. Grant you, we have still adopted the name Flow to just use for the subsequent to that merger, but then, you know, we had Legacy Flow, which was Columbus, and Cable and Wireless / Lime, as persons know, would have acquired that company. And shortly after acquisition, again, moved into a new role where I was doing reporting for the business side. We have 2 major segments in terms of how the company operates. You'd have your consumers or your residential customers, and then you have your business to business, who, you know, we provide services. So I was focused on the business side for the region, and did that for another 2 years or so until the structure got changed. Then I am now currently where I'm focusing on the Jamaican unit. I'm the senior manager for the financial plan and analysis, which, basically focuses on budgeting, reporting, looking at how the business is performing, supporting the commercial persons in terms of, whatever initiatives they have, and, help to guide in terms of performance. Another joke, a friend of mine, daughter asked once, what was my role? What's my job? And she looked and then she said, it makes the numbers make sense. So to put it simply, that's what I try to do, make sense out of the numbers for my managers and bosses so we can actually make solid business decisions going forward. Generally now, over to my Kiwanis experience. Again, whilst I was in the Bahamas when I was introduced to Kiwanis, so I started with the Kiwanis Club of Nassau AM in 2002 and was the assistant treasurer for 2003, 2005 before I moved back. And, that experience itself just, made sure that I wanted to continue in the movement. And, I made a note here in terms of one of my most memorable experience was in the administrative year 2003, 2004, and President Edwin. His goal or what I think we deem here the signature project was to build a house. There's a section that in the Bahamas that they would have earmarked for building various houses to house, because at the time there's this huge stigma for HIV positive persons and they were like outcasts from their families, etc. So an organization similar to Food for the Poor, would be housing and looking after them at a camp. And then they would partner and speak with different private sector organizations to try and build cottages or homes to move these persons, these residents in. And that project for that year was the entire Kiwanis Club. Every Saturday we were out there building that house, working on that house for the entire year from scratch. Except for when you had, technical, electrical wiring and some of those technical stuff you would get in a professional. But for the most part, it was just labor. You had persons who owned the hardware store donating everything and the rest donated time. So, and at the end of the administrative year, we would have handed over to someone who would have been benefiting from that project. And interestingly enough, the persons who got it was a couple who met there. They were both HIV positive, but they met, fell in love, got married, and that was their wedding present. So it was, it's something that stuck with me throughout my journey. And when I moved back, of course, the guys was recommended me transfer to a club here, but I actually declined just on the mere fact that I was just moving back, needed to get settled. And the thing about Kiwanis, which still to this day bothers me in terms of it's a service organization and you're dedicating your time. And when I don't feel I'm giving enough, it's very depressing. And because I knew of my demands, I declined, until I got settled. And so it was 2 years after moving back, then I joined up the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, which at the time was a luncheon meeting we would have, because then it fit perfectly in my schedule. We had a 1 hour we got in just simply because of the constant overtime we would have to, be working on. For the first 2 years, I was chairman for SLP. Again, another fulfilling experience dealing with the children, the various kids at the different early primary schools. And after I past president, no longer part of the club, he asked me to be the treasurer in 2010, 2011. And I took the post then, and then distinguished President Gihan asked me to return in 2018, and I've been in that position till now. In addition to that, I served as chairman for the Ministry of Health Audit Committee between the years 2012 to 2019. So those are the things outside of my regular job that I was involved in, at that time. Right now, I just barely managing to keep up with It's just because of the, the work demands, but still trying to maintain a presence. Recreation, my hobbies. Well, I'm an avid tennis fan and football fan. Arsenal, as a matter of fact. You know, so as we would say, Gunners for life. And that's where, you know, we get a relaxation on the weekend, or got your blood pressure going through the roof, depending on how the games are going. And for exercise, I play tennis recreationally. I love reading, listening to music. My two favorite artists locally is Barry Salmon and Junior Gong, in terms of just the content of their lyrics and the message that they bring across. R&B singer, Joe, rap, Eminem, and for reading, my favorite author is John Grisham. And I have here an aspiring and struggling gardener, because again, I grew up in the country, my grandma always having plants around, and you know, it's such a beauty. And I try to maintain that, but I don't think I'm as successful as I should be, hence the struggling. But nonetheless, it's still rewarding and refreshing, just, you know, trying to maintain those flowers. Love to travel when I have the chance to, and you know, these are some of the places that I would have visited in the past, either as a result of work or vacation, as you see, USA, Cozumel in Mexico, Cayman. And I have a tick here, asterisk for Canada and Hawaii, that two of my most interesting experiences happened on those journeys. So in Canada, we'd have gone over to Calgary. Actually, it was a work trip. And we decided to take, myself and colleagues decided on our day off to take a trip up to, there's a place named Banff. It's a national Indian park, you know, it's heritage. So it's like a tourist site. And, you know, we decided to drive up there just to go and go up in the mountains to see what it was like. And on the journeys there, we got hungry, and there was a small town on the outskirts of the highway. And we pulled in and was driving around trying to find somewhere to eat. And just driving around, everyone was looking, and interestingly enough, it was just, you had a strange feeling, a sensation, and just could not pinpoint what it was. Until we got to a four-way, and I looked and I realized everyone we passed was white. There was not a single black person in the town. And everybody was just looking like, so like, you know, this is a strange sight. And pulling up to the four-way, I saw a Rasta man with a young lady. And the minute he saw me stop, he ran away from her, came over, knocked my fist and said, "Man, you don't know how happy I am to see you." And, you know, we found that so hilarious, because he was the only black person apparently there, and just felt out of sorts. So, you know, that was, I always keep remembering that and smiling. And interestingly enough, with his accent, sounded like a Jamaican. I didn't stop around to ask, but, you know, you're going to find us everywhere at every corner of the earth, right? And the Hawaii trip was just more from a cultural experience, and we'd have gone to the Big Island, as they refer to it as, which it's kind of equivalent to what we call country here. It's not the more developed, but it's just more tourist resort on one end of the island. And it was just, we did a 10-hour tour around the island, and it was just interesting and remarkable from the eastern end, where you keep seeing remnants of volcano eruptions with lava all over the place, just barren and bare, to the west side, which was a rainforest. And it was just amazing just to see the change in, you know, in the landscape, and that one, such a small body of land would, you know, have such variety among it. So, you know, those are some of the things that, you know, you take away from a travel. And again, to Caribbean, just because of work. So get around a bit, would like to travel some more, but, you know, depend on, you know, when vacation comes or work affords it to, then, you know, we'll do that. No. So coming to the end, as I know we have another person, KIWANIAN, Maurice, to come and talk. So just try to make it as short as possible. For me, what you see here is just my mantra that I try to live by daily. And it's simply improvise, adapt, and overcome. Because in my mind, I mean, we're always going to be facing challenges, but, you know, it's just a matter of accepting, acknowledging, and then seeing how best to come around it rather than stay frozen and immobile. So KIWANIANs, again, thank you for your couple of minutes of listening to me go on, but it was a pleasure to talk about myself to you guys, and I hope it was very informative. And again, you know, for the Kiwanians, my fellow Kiwanians who didn't know me, yes, this is Orville Lewis, the treasurer. I do exist. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Orville. Yes, for someone who don't have seen you before, you know, yes, we know you do exist. You do exist. Thank you for that. But one thing I'd like to ask you though, we don't usually do a Q&A after, you know, like in the middle. But I just wanted to ask you that island, the Hawaiian island that you mentioned, is that a habitable island, or was that one of those that is not? I mean, I know there are a lot of islands. Why I'm asking, I'm wondering, the recent, was it a fire or something that they had, I can't remember, the disaster that they had recently, was that one of the islands that was affected? I'm just curious, whether you know. I'm not sure if you know. Hello?
If I may, DP Stu, the fire was on the island of Maui, and the town that was affected was Lahaina. Where Orville is talking about is the big island, which is a separate island, but all of the islands are habitable.
Okay, okay. Thanks for that. So you are hearing me. Okay, that's all right.
I'm hearing you, yes.
All right, good. All right, thank you once again, Orville. Yes, I have been trying for some time, and you know, Flo was keeping you occupied, but I really appreciate you taking the time when you found that you could manage it, and we really are appreciating that you came on board. So thanks again.
Thank you, DP.
Good. Now, Maurice and myself had a conversation in the interim. I suggested something to him, so I'm not sure if he did it. And Maurice, can you hear me? Can you speak?
I am hearing you.
Right. So
Okay.
logging back. So it worked. It seems to have worked.
In a sort of a way.
All right. We won't go into that part. We're just glad that you are on and we can hear you. And so I'm gonna ask you now, you can go ahead with your presentation. I'm gonna let me make you also a let me make you a co-host as well. 1 second. I don't know if you're planning to use to share a screen, but if it doesn't matter.
No, not really.
Yeah, but you have permission to if you wanted to, so that's not a problem. Okay, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, let us, fellow Kiwanians, let's welcome Maurice. He had some problems before, but those are behind us. So go right ahead, Maurice.
Oh, very good evening to each and all. I don't know if you're getting an echo.
I'm getting an echo. Do you have more than one device on?
Yes, I couldn't get this.
Well, the one you're using,
let me turn off.
Yeah, you gotta turn off one. That's probably the problem.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Sure. So just be a moment, folks.
1 minute.
Yeah, do what you have to do. Just take your time.
Okay.
Right. No echo. Go right ahead.
All right.
If you can turn on your camera, even though I'm asking to do so, mine isn't on, but my computer doesn't have a camera. But you can If you can, I mean, you were a senior before, so I know you can. But if that causes a problem, then never mind.
DP Stu, if he's the one who's using the Galaxy A51, he's muted.
Okay.
Achieve its independence in May 1966.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. You started off muted. So start from the beginning again.
Okay.
Good.
I said I was born in the colony of British Guiana, now Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
As you may know, British Guiana is situated on the northernmost tip of South America and is part of the Guyana coastline, which is made up of 3 countries. British Guiana, now Guyana, which achieved its independence in May 1966. Dutch Guiana, now Suriname, and French Guiana, well, that is still French Guiana. Guyana shares a coastal boundary, coastal boundaries with Venezuela to the west, Brazil to the south, and Suriname to the east. The mighty Atlantic covers the northern coast. I grew up about 100 meters from the Atlantic and enjoyed many playful activities in the mud-colored water with my 3 brothers and neighboring friends. Many a times, we were pulled by the tidal current away from the close comfort of the seawall, which runs 360 miles along the coastal belt of Guyana. My passion during my early years included cricket, which I played at the inter-school level. And this was influenced by having a large number of cricket grounds and fields in close proximity to where I lived. Players that I saw that influenced me at the time were Lance Gibbs, Clive Lloyd, Roy Fredericks, and the likes. My passion later developed for table tennis after witnessing the Caribbean Championships held in Guyana in the mid-60s, where Jamaica had an outstanding team, including Orville Haslam. I don't know how many of you know of him. Orville Haslam, Fernando Roberts, Cornel France, and Leo Davis. And on the female side, Monica de Souza. I myself played inter-school table tennis. I was called up to the Guyana Junior National Team in 1968. Additional sports that I enjoyed were cycling, cycle racing, boxing, and football. I attended the Tutorial High School in Guyana, a school known for its sporting and athletics powers. I believe it could have rivaled any of the big name colleges here in Jamaica. You may doubt it, but I believe that they could have, including the boys in purple, dark and light blues, and those in green. Apart from its outstanding performance in the academics, it was the engine that drove the nation performance in sports and athletics nationally. My most rememberable days was having to do a year stint in the national service in the interior of Guyana as a prerequisite to pursuing tertiary education. As a city boy, this was the first time away from home and from the city lights. I thoroughly enjoy the military training and for the first time, the beauty of our hinterland. This was in the 70s. And for those here old enough to remember, those were the hard times of the socialist transformation taking place in Guyana, the Caribbean, and in the South. Bob Marley and reggae music had its place. I remember arguing about Bob Marley's use of the Babylon system and argued that it was the most just system yet to be invented. Today, I see all the holes and ills associated with this system and believe better can be done, as Bob Marley declared. After graduating from the University of Guyana, I worked for many years as the revenue accountant at the Guyana Electricity Corporation and subsequently moved to the Guyana State Planning Secretariat as an economic planner. I got married twice and have 5 kids, 1 girl, she's the eldest, and 4 boys. The first 2 boys celebrate their birthday on the 22nd of August, together with the 3rd brother, whose birthday is also on that day. I migrated to Jamaica in 1991 and have worked in education for much of the period that I am here. I have taught at the secondary and tertiary levels, and at one time shared adjacent rooms with LD Desmond Batchelor as adjunct lecturers at the University of the West Indies School of Continuing Education. However, my most rewarding experience came when I worked as the Deputy Director Governance at the Social Development Commission, with direct responsibilities for oversight in Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas and the St. Thomas region. This was straight building community capacity and developing training. This was understanding the factors that created the socio-economic conditions that can both hinder growth and development within these communities, as well as the community resources that are available that can create the conditions for development. It was identifying the community structures, including the role of the dons, gatekeepers, the economics of poverty, and the institutional factors that created these conditions. I have also worked as a project manager, again in community development, managing social projects, be it by the EU, IDB, JSF, etc. More recently, I have managed an IDB project aimed at designing a national training program on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Greenhouse Gas Software, and Guidelines on Carbon Accounting. I am currently employed as a program and project coordinator at the International University of the Caribbean. It is this interest and background in human and community development over the years that has driven me to join the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. But before I go on, let me ask a simple question. I'm not expecting an answer, but it's just a question I want to pose out there. How many of you know the meaning of the term Kiwanis? I researched it and found it was coined from a Algibri or Gilwi language expression derived from the word Gewanizi, meaning fool around. So Kiwanis really means fool around. It is interesting to note that based on my time as a member of this club, I see much fooling around, especially on WhatsApp, more so in members volunteering their time, effort, and resources in partnering with clubs and organizations in building and improving Jamaica, and in so doing the world, one child and one community at a time. I never hesitated to join the Kingston Club of Kingston after being invited 5 years ago when asked by my good friend and workmate, Mr. Errol Hamilton. Based on the many programs and projects that I see almost on a weekly basis, I can attest to the fact that the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is indeed fulfilling its mission to serve the children of the world. And I need to indeed play my role. Good evening. That's my upface and personal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maurice. You know, well, one of the things that this program has done is that sometimes it really opens up our eyes to persons who have kind of had a low profile, let me put it that way. And as a result, we have been able to bring people more into the activities of the club. And we realize that, and just listen to what you have said, you have almost the perfect resume, you know, for a lot of what Kiwanis is about, you know, in terms of your community building and all the things that you spoke about. So I think that I would have, sorry, I'd have to say that, you know, we have probably been underutilizing your skills. And I'm sure the president is taking note. And we really want to get you more involved because, you know, and this is why, you know, we're so happy to give, you know, our members an opportunity to tell us about themselves so that we can, you know, learn more and recognize where, you know, you can even play a bigger role than you have been playing in the past. So thank you very much, Maurice. At this point, yes.
Thank you, William, for having me.
You're most welcome. At this point, if there are any, just 1 second, I'm getting a little. Yeah, at this point, I'd like to open the floor. I mean, it's not a grilling exercise, but sometimes people may have said something and you just wanted to just follow up. Let me just mention something. I just lead this off, Maurice. You said you're playing. Did you actually play against Orville Haslam? Did you actually meet? Or you're just saying that, or you weren't on the national team?
He was one of the persons that influenced me greatly in playing the game and in trying to reach to the level that I did as a junior. And so, you know, he was one of the powerhouses in the game and throughout the West Indies for a number of years. And I have great respect for him. And, you know, I think he was one of the guys that impacted the Caribbean table tennis and one of the guys that was able to raise the standard of table tennis in the Caribbean.
Okay. Well, you know, I'll give you like a fun fact. You know, I used to fancy myself as a table tennis player. Probably played a little bit for my high school, but I remember saying to myself one day, you know, I think I want to enter the All Jamaica tournament. So there were no restrictions. You didn't have to qualify to enter. You just pay the fee and you enter. And so I did. And the first person that I was supposed to play was, guess who? Orville Haslam. So naturally my progress in the competition didn't go any further. But that's just a fun fact. Okay, fellow Kiwanians, if you would like to ask either Orville or Maurice any questions, just go right ahead. If you put up your hand, but no hands are up now. So if you just open your mic and speak, we'll accept that. Anybody?
If I may, DP Stu?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Question from Maurice. In recent times, there's been a debate about Guyana as a Guyanese national, notwithstanding CARICOM, West Indies cricket, Commonwealth, etc. On the ground in Guyana, do Guyanese people consider themselves South American or do they consider themselves Caribbean? And if so, to what extent?
Well, just to say that I grew up in British Guyana, and all our association in those days was directly with the Caribbean islands and countries. We, I was, when I learned that Guyana was part of South America, was after I was already deep entrenched in things Caribbean. All the music, all the trade, all the sports, everything had to do with the Caribbean. As the only English-speaking country on the continent, South America, we strongly align and see ourselves as Caribbean people. As a matter of fact, to such an extent that the Caribbean Secretariat, the CARICOM Secretariat, is located in Georgetown. And we see ourselves fully as Caribbean people. I think that we were some of the persons who initiated the CARICOM development and so on, and signing of the Treaty of Chagaramas. And hence, we don't see ourselves as nothing else as Caribbean. But most recently, we have found that for economics and other reasons, we have had to look at our neighboring countries, on South America, mainly Brazil, and to some extent, Venezuela and Suriname, as possibly areas to increase trade and to develop the type of networking that is required in this modern age to foster greater growth and development in the country. But that apart, we are fully Caribbean.
Okay. Is it accurate, though, that some people who live on the border to some of the South America, the other nations, speak Spanish also, in addition to English? Or is
more recently, as I'm saying, what has been happening is that there's an increase in cross-border trade and interrelationships that in Guyana today, there are a lot of people from Brazil that speak Portuguese that are there. That's a large population that has come over the border, not only at the border, but they have reached into the cities and are really providing a strong commercial base to the city. That so much so that I believe that in high schools there is now forcing Guyanese students to learn Portuguese. With the persons with the current problem in Venezuela, a lot of the persons living close to the Guyana border have crossed the border to find employment, given now there is a take up on the economic front in Guyana, given that they have found oil. So people from Venezuela is crossing that border. And similarly, people from Suriname, we have influx of people from as far as Cuba, who is now who's coming to trade, buy cheap goods to take back to Cuba. There is a full flight of Cuban plane that almost arrive in Georgetown on a daily basis. And then there is, with the take up of the oil and so on, there is now a large influx of European and other interest groups. And the Chinese are there from a very long time, but more so, they are there more so now than ever. And there's now a blend, there's now a metropolitan blend in the city where you could be going around the place and you're hearing Portuguese, you could be hearing Dutch or Spanish, combined with our Creole and English and so on.
Okay, thanks for that insight. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maurice. Anybody else who wants to get in a quick thing, and then we can use whether for Orville or to Maurice.
Yes, VP. One quick question for Maurice. I know you have been a Jamaican for a long time, 30 odd years now, but I'm just curious. I have a very good friend he now lives in the States. He loves Jamaica, but he's now building a house in Guyana because he says Guyana is one of the most peaceful places he has ever been. Whenever he's there, he doesn't feel the need to close his door, and everybody seems to have manners. So that's where he's actually planning to retire. I just want to get your perspective on life in Guyana versus life in Jamaica.
Well, life in Guyana is very laid back. It is not as hard in my days. It was very laid back, and you found that there used to be, as I suspect in Jamaica, a periods of calm and so on, where you know, there is the criminal activities in the past wasn't that bad, or wasn't that terrible. But currently, I wouldn't advise him to build a house without not grilling it at this point in time. You know, the situation is getting you know, as bad as anywhere else. There's crime, and it's on the uptake. And you know, when I left Guyana, there wasn't any house that used to necessarily had grill and so on. I came here and saw the confinement of grill housing and so on. But currently, I believe people are moving in that direction in order to secure the family and the property and so on. One of the things that is happening in Guyana currently, as I said, over the last 3 years, where they found oil in 2015 and commercial quantities for export and so on began in 2020. So over the last 3 years, the economy has been growing. And as I said, there's now an influx of people from north, south, east, and west Trinidad and so on, you know. And so you find that there are people who from different nationalities are now finding an interest in going there, both to do business, to live, and so on. You see, maybe this is a time to go. Maybe this is a time for me to return, given the perceived prosperity in the near and intermediate future. But there is still ways to go with respect to, you know, ensuring that there is this peace, calm, the need for security and so on is still important. And one must be careful both especially in the city, one must be careful as you move around as much as you are here in Jamaica.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Thank
you
you.
know, we could turn this into a really, you know, when you have a foreigner, is that what Orville had to say? But Orville is one of us already in Jamaica. So having somebody like you who is Guyanese, it makes it, there's a higher level of curiosity. You know, I let me just ask one more time. I see a hand up. Director Theon, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Greetings again from Kiwani's Club of New Kingston. I want to ask Treasurer Orville a question. What was your experience like in the Bahamas, work, culture, that kind of exposure? And would you now recommend young professionals to take their chance going there?
Hi, yes, good evening. First of all, yes, my trip to the Bahamas, I wouldn't trade it for anything. In that, within the first 2 years, just from my professional life, the first 2 years that I was there, I learned so much in terms of development versus what I would have done here. And that simply is just a result of the dynamics of the economy. It's an offshore center. So whereas here, part of my challenge that I had in my professional life was I wasn't getting enough experience in the early years. Actually, frankly, I felt like somebody cruising to retirement and just collecting a paycheck because we had so much qualified accountants locally, but not a lot of or a variety of clients for the firm. So moving there was a great opportunity to learn something new, learn something else. And most interestingly for me,
The culture, they are a bit more laid back. So, you know, that was one of the differences. But another thing I noticed is I went there with a goal in mind. So I was more aggressive and focused on what I wanted to do. So maybe if I was still here, probably I wouldn't have had that outlook. But, you know, just settling in another environment, you realize, okay, you know, you're on a mission, you have to do something. So you kind of stayed a bit more focused. And for me, you know, that helped to kind of mature me a lot more. And then the other thing was, it was in that environment, I started to realize the difference between myself and, you know, the residents there, and become more appreciative of who I am, or found myself as a Jamaican. So my thing was always, as you're saying, young persons, I wish everyone has a chance to travel somewhere, because like with everything in life, you take things for granted once you have nothing else to compare it to. But, you know, settling in another scenario or another situation, and you start to notice differences now, then it kind of points out to you the uniqueness of yourself or things that you'd like to do. So for me, yes, I would recommend, especially at a young age, you know, that, you know, broadens your outlook. And especially now when, you know, pretty much there are no borders anymore, physical borders, just the way the world is growing. But the funny side of it though was I became so passionate about maintaining my identity that before I got married and used to visit back, my wife used to say, my God, you chat worse than when you left here, right? Because the first thing someone said to me when I landed, oh, you soon lose that accent. And I didn't take kindly to it. So I think subconsciously I made an effort. Whenever I'm speaking or communicating, I would slow down so they could understand what wasn't English. And I think as a result, over the times, I started to realize it was just the pride in me as a Jamaican that, you know, came out. And for me, I think that was a great thing in terms of I became more appreciative. I found myself in that regard and appreciated myself for who I am, that sort of stuff. But the other side, again, interesting, as I say, they're individually laid back, very welcoming, nice set of persons. The challenge I had, again, as a small nation, and because of the challenge of migration, etc., collectively, they were very resistant to foreigners, and, you know, every chance they got, they reminded you that you're not from here. So, you know, that was one of the things I struggled to overcome over a period of time. And, you know, so, but that in itself, I think, kind of helped me on my journey in terms of, you know, toughening up and overlooking certain things and adapting to, you know, different scenarios. So, hopefully that answers, that gave enough of what you were looking for.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think that I know I could ask another question, but I won't bother. I won't do it at this time. I think it's about time that we bring this part to an end. And I really want to thank all the persons who turned out, and our two presenters. You know, I wonder if there was anything in the chat. Hold on. Was there any question in the chat? No, I don't think so. Okay. That I'm glad that we had this session up close and personal this evening. Thanks again, Orville. Thanks again, Maurice. And Maurice, I think we need to talk some more. I mean, I don't mean necessarily just me, but there are things that you could be much more involved with in a club. I mean, Orville is already the treasurer, so you know that is fine for him. But you know, I don't think we are kind of touched the tip of what you could also be a part of, that you could be a part of in the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. So thank you very much, guys. And I'll turn it back over. So yes, somebody want to say something?
Yes, Desmond, LG Desmond here. Let me thank Maurice for reminding me. School of Continuing Studies. It took some time to really remember that kind of association. But I was going to ask a question to Treasurer Orville, but time is on. So I will forego that. Just curious, Treasurer.
Go ahead, LG.
What did you say to the Rastaman in Calgary?
I just gave him a smile and a fist bump, man, to let him feel comfortable.
Okay, and where was he from?
No, I'm not sure because actually I was still commuting, so I just was at the four-way.
Yes.
But like I said, it kind of sounded, you know, when we go foreign and kind of develop a little accent, you may hear a little creeping. So it sounded that way, but I couldn't say for sure. But I didn't stop and ask. I just smiled with him and said, no problem, and because I had to drive off.
All right, thank you. Good.
No problem.
Well, let me get in a last quick one. And Maurice, you don't have to, just condense the answer. You don't have to go into so much detail. But since you seem to have a financial background as well, I don't know how much you know about the oil deal with Exxon, but is it a major form of exploitation, or is it a good deal for Guyana? And if you don't know the details, then you don't have to answer. But I just wondered if you have taken the time to get a feel for that. Because we have a situation, I remember, where we look at a country like Niger, which is a big producer of uranium, and yet half of the country don't have any electricity. So I'm just wondering is the Guyana getting a good deal from Exxon with the oil? Just make it short.
Well, to make it short, it is full exploitation. Full exploitation. Guyana receives royalty of 2%. 2% royalty. And I think that there are some amount of revenue earned from the sale of some of the oil and so on. But the hog of the revenue earned from the oil goes to Exxon.
I have to read this.
And one of the things that is really resulted in that poor agreement had to do with the threat of Venezuela claim on the Guyana borders. You see, Venezuela claimed 2/3 of Guyana. And with this newfound oil, you found that they became a little aggressive in trying to make that claim. And it is only a big company with the American backative as Exxon that could have gone into the areas on the coast where the oil is located to drill without not being pursued by the Venezuela armed forces and so on. And hence that agreement became pretty soft in that they decided to maybe to link the ability to drill the oil to the low returns that the government of Guyana signed for. As a matter of fact, some of the criticisms range from not having what they call environmental impact studies done.
Okay.
They haven't had something to do with ring fencing to prevent if they had maybe oil leaks and so on, you know. And most of the costs incurred by Exxon, in as much as we only get this 2% and so on, most of the costs is covered by repayment through the Guyana government. There's no taxes on the revenues earned. It's a travesty. It's a very bad contract. Now, on this other hand, Suriname, which is right next door, decided to drill for oil in the same basin as Guyana did, and they have found oil, similar sources. Different agreement, however, that they signed with the people who are drilling for the oil in their territory. it's quite different. They have ring fencing protection, environmental study, greater returns, and so on. It's terrible. But you see, the
Okay.
thing is, yes. So
No.
that's the short answer.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad I asked. I'm glad I took the the liberty of asking that question. But thank you very much. President Newton, your time.
Thank you, DP Stewart, and I must add my thanks to Maurice and Orville for a very informative session. I just want to kick what DP Stewart said up a bit. DP Stewart, and this goes to Maurice, and DP Stewart said to you that we need to speak. I want to kick it up. I'm going to say we will be speaking, sir. Because we have a lot of heavy lifting and we need strong people. All right. Before we go on to the sergeant of arms, I'm asking a member of the club to move for an extension of say 10 minutes for us to finish our business.
So move.
Seconded by?
Seconded.
Okay, moved by DP Stewart, seconded by DP Chris. Okay. And now it now takes us to my newest best friend. That's the Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Zuri Johnson. Are you there, Mr. Sarge? Are you there going once, Sarge? Okay, the Sarge seemed not to be with us this evening, and I would not want to try and walk in his footsteps because he has been doing a good job. So I will just simply say each member of the club can contribute $300 tonight on behalf of the Sarge. All right, so we move now to notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities by DLG William Reason. Are you there, DLG Willie?
Yes, I'm here, President.
Okay.
I'm here, President. Okay, regarding notices and announcements, we've been informed by Lieutenant Governor Desmond that our Kiwanis One Day project is on Saturday, October 28th. Last night we discussed at the board meeting possibility of doing a project with in Sandpipe. The first quarter district divisional council meeting we held at Kuna Mutual, that's on November the 18th, and that's 9 a.m. And the divisional church service is going to be held at the Hope United Church on November 26th at 9 a.m. And regarding meetings, the next fundraising meeting to planning the Christmas ball will be held next week, Thursday, at my home. Insofar as interclubbing opportunities, we have several invitations, but we have one for tomorrow evening by young professionals, St. Andrew. They meet at the Worthington Friends Church on Worthington Avenue. They are start at 6 p.m. And next week, we have a special invitation. Unfortunately, it's the same night that we have our meeting. Kiwanis Club of Barbican will be having the installation ceremony. I will be sending out a schedule of interclubs for the next few days that people can look at. At this time, that is all I have to say. President Newton, you may want to invite visiting clubs if you have any announcements to
President Newton?
Go ahead, LG.
Just a correction. The church service starts at 8 a.m. and not 9 DLG Willie.
Thank you, LG. Okay, is there any visiting club that has any announcement they'd like to make? You can go ahead and do it now. Any announcement? Any other announcement? Okay, so
good evening.
Go ahead.
Good evening, President.
Newton.
Hi. How are you doing, Crystal?
I am great. How are you?
I am great. Thank you.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. All right, I'm just going to do this real quick. The Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. This Thursday, we invite you all to join us as our guest speaker is no other than Dr. Joan Carter Smith. And the topic is breast cancer. It starts at 6 p.m. online this Thursday. You're all invited. I'll go ahead and send you the link. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Crystal.
Thanks.
Any other announcements? Okay, before we go to thoughts for the week, I just want to say, DP Rupert and DLG Sharon, we see that you have been with us all the way through, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Prez. Nice being here.
Great.
Thank you, Prez.
Okay, sir. DP Stewart, thoughts for the week.
Okay, President Newton. I was kind of mulling around whether I should use this one or that one. Let me just 1 second.
Well, I did say thoughts, so if you want to give more than one, we're good.
Okay. Here's this one. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And the other one I want to share is you impress people with your success, but you impact people more with your failures. And that's a John Maxwell quote. Those are my two for the night, for the week.
As usual, very apt. All right. As we approach termination, is there anything that I have missed? Is there anyone who has anything that they want to say? That's it? Okay,
President Newton, before you
go ahead, Chairman
terminate,
Crystal.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston on my certificate of appreciation, where I went ahead and helped out with the health fair last month. I want to say thank you, President Junior. Thank you, P.E. then, Newton, now President, and thanks to everyone. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, guess what happened? One of the good things about it is that it is something you earned. It's not something we give you just because we like you. It was well earned, and you know it is just a really small token of our appreciation, because it's not just that function, but each time we have some function of significance, you always support, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, President.
Okay. Well, that being said, I must say we had a very good evening this evening. We listened to two great presentations, and well, we could have had some more. So it's now 8:43. So I'm going to ask us to just raise our glasses and drink a toast. Raise a toast. Sorry, I just realized. Are you hearing me?
I am.
We are. Okay.
Yeah, we're hearing you now.
Okay. I'd just like to raise a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love.
Jamaica land we love.
Right. This meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is now turned.
Okay. I was trying to get rid of some background noise, even though the meeting is practically ended.
Okay. Well, as usual, this is the time of the evening when DP Stewart turns into DJ Stewart. So, you know, you're invited to stay with us. The DJ Stewart usually spins some really good music. So you don't have to log off. You can stay and continue liming with us. Thank you.
Good meeting, President Newton.
Hello, IPP Junior.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said.